course, the images coming out of Israel and Gaza are jarring and often difficult to see for our Muslim, Palestinian, and Jewish communities here in South Florida. What's happening in the Middle East can be divisive, but does it have to be?
CBS News Miami's executive producer impacting communities, Tania Francois, speaks to two leaders on each side of the conflict for their perspectives on how we move forward.
First, I want to thank you both for joining me for this conversation. Would you introduce yourself for me, please? Your first and last name and what you represent.
Yeah. My name is Abdul Samra. I'm the Imam of Islamic Center of Greater Miami. I also serve as a chaplain at University of Miami and serve as a chaplain at Miami-Dade Police Department. I'm also board member on advisory board, Interfaith Advisory Board of Miami-Dade County.
Wonderful. Rabbi.
I'm Rabbi Yisrael Spalter from Chabad Lubavitch of Weston. I'm a representative of the Lubavitcher Rabbi here in Weston and part of a network of 5,000 centers around the world under the Chabad Lubavitch umbrella.
So again, thank you for joining us. My question first is, there's so much happening in the world, in the Middle East. Here in South Florida, how do each of you, how should we continue? How do we move on? How do we coexist, considering there's so many, there's very divisive, very opposite, things happening over in Israel right now, Palestine?
Go ahead.
Well, unfortunately, what's happening there, it's very disturbing and horrible. And of course, we feel the pain for all, especially the innocent civilians and children. And here we try first to calm our community. And, we live here together in peace, with respect, and try not to be affected by what's happening there, because we all, maintained a good relation as a community, working together with different communities, especially Muslim and Jewish community. We have so many, common things we all share. And myself, I visited synagogue many times. I invited rabbis and Jewish community to my masjid too. So we're trying to keep that connection and try to assure everyone that we all stand for each other.
Rabbi.
I want to echo what he said, what the Imam said, and that we all pray that the hostility should be lowered, and we want peace in the Middle East. Isn't that everyone wants that? But if you want to have peace in the Middle East, the first place you have to make peace is in your own home. You have to foster a peaceful attitude towards your neighbor, whether they are Jewish, Muslim, Christian, or none of the above. And when you have, we demonstrate for peace. Don't demonstrate for peace. Demonstrate peace. You have to demonstrate peace in our talks, in our teachings, in our lectures. And when you do that, and you bring people together rather than divide them, at least in terms of respect, you hope that would lower the tensions here, because there's not that much we can do about what happens in the Middle East other than pray for them, of course. But our decisions are not, no one's listening to us. What we could do is foster a peaceful attitude as a living example between peoples here. And that's what we need to do.
For those trying to understand, and those who want to be empathetic, and it's very hard to understand for some, what do you say, especially to someone who is of neither faith, but just want to be empathetic, they want to help, they want to understand? I'll start with you, Rabbi. What do you say to the viewer at home who just wants to know, how am I supposed to feel?
It's a good question. It's a tough question. There's a lot of history. A person needs to educate themselves. It's not something that you're going to figure out in a day. There are basic feelings that a person has as a human to know this is not right, this can't be right. And I think a person's humanity should lead them in the right direction. But you have to know where you're getting your information from. You have to educate yourself, go back in time, learn the issue, and then hopefully you'll understand what's at hand. And feel and how to think about it.
Sir?
Yeah, absolutely. The issue there is a political conflict, and it is not new. What is important, I think, we should go back to our faith, our religion. What is the teaching of our religion? I know we all look forward for a good, peaceful, and just solution there for everyone, where peace and justice prevail. But at the same time, we still need to preach our values as a people of faith, which is our faith, invite for peace, invite for respect, invite to live with harmony with all the people. And that's what we need to emphasize on to our community. And that's what I tell my people. We are believer, and our faith, required us to be good to other people, to be good to different people. And this is what God told us, that we created the children of Adam with honor and dignity. So we need to have this honor and dignity to all human beings. And our emphasis should be on more on humanity, not to bring any differences in faith or religion. I know we are different, but that does not make us enemies.
Go ahead, sir.
God gave 7 basic laws to all humanity. He gave it to Noah when he exited the flood. A story we're learning in this week's Torah reading for the Jewish people. And those 7 basic laws are to believe in God, not to worship idols, not to murder, not to commit adultery, not to steal, not to be cruel to animals, and to have law and order in every society that we live. You have to go by that basis. Every human being has to go by that basis, no matter who you are. And when you stick to that, as the Imam said, you stick to the values that God has taught us in the Torah, in his communication with Noah after the flood. I think most people, good, decent people, will know right from wrong.
And I asked this question pertaining to us here in South Florida and the local media. What are we missing? What aren't we talking about? What aren't we telling? Are we being responsible and respectful as it relates to both of you and your faiths, as it relates to how are we all getting along and continuing?
The media sometimes, as media does, is very politically, they look for viewership and they talk about what will get them as many people to see to watch. But the media does have a tremendous part in this, and that is to realize that here in the diaspora, here in America, here in South Florida, it's their job. It's like you said before, people are confused. People don't know. They don't want to read on their own and figure it out on their own for whatever reason. The media does have a job, and I'm not saying it's the media's responsibility to educate people in right and wrong, but in the fact of the matter is that they do influence. They have a tremendous amount of influence, and they have to remember that, to always look for the side of humanity, to look for the side of faith, and to foster that, and to always be truthful, and to convey a message that would bring people together rather than divide them.
Yeah, absolutely. The media has a big role, and I really thank you for bringing us, because this is something we want everybody to hear. What is our attitude and how we feel about each other and how we feel about what is happening there. But the media has to be fair and not biased. And unfortunately, we get the news, but in many cases, the media fueling or put some fuel to instigate hate. And that, I think what happened in Illinois, that killing the 6-year-old child, innocent child, being killed in a very horrible way. I know what is happening there is horrible, and we are against killing civilians and children and women. So this is even part of our faith. But again, the media should have like a positive role that share, the opinions of the people, especially more concentration on the human element, and that concentrate on faith, that we are, as a people of faith, we always invite for peace, for love, for tranquility, and something that bring the people together, and not to anything that divide the people.
Which leads me to the next question. Speaking to the lay people who are sitting at home and we're watching the atrocities, from your faith, especially considering some of the propaganda that's out there, what do you want us to believe and think so that we can continue to coexist? Because the images are harrowing, they're difficult. How should we process that in a way that we continue to live together as community? I'll start with you. I always start with you.
All right.
So I'll start with you.
That should urge us to think or see what is a solution. That solution must be there, and that solution should be based on justice, and then you can attain the peace. This is important. That saves the whole world, the whole humanity. We always don't like to see, or we hate to see, people fighting and killing each other. This is not what God told us. Live in peace. Love each other. Love your neighbor. Be good to your friend. Be good to your relative. Be good to your people you're around. Have a good life, happy life. We all look forward for good life, for happy life. So we need to be working on how to make our life better and happier and easier, and that should be our message to all our community.
Could you say that question again, because I didn't quite understand?
Yeah. As we watch the images, we're here in South Florida. What do you want us to take away and understand so that we can continue to be in peace and continue to coexist?
Well, look, the images that are coming out of there are awful. They're heartbreaking. It's a tragedy. But, like I said before, if you want to have, ultimately, where the world heals and people heal in terms of getting along together, you have to live by example. You can't, demonstrating in the street for this, for that, it's all whatever. You can do that. I don't know that helps. I think that, on the contrary, I think sometimes that just makes it even worse. But I think what has the message of, if you're going to go out and make a rally, if you're going to go out and support whatever, the message has to be that this has to stop in terms of it's wrong. When you kill people that are laying in their bed, it's wrong. It can't be right. No decent person can see that as right. And it's a tragedy when any person gets killed, especially if they're not even involved. People say women and children. I don't think anyone should get killed. Men, women, children, soldiers, it doesn't make a difference. No one deserves to be killed just like that. I mean, war is a tough thing, and it's a shame that we have to have it every so often. I hope we pray every day that the days of war will come to an end with the coming of the Messiah and the redemption of the world. We're not there yet. Therefore, brings me back to South Florida, to the ultimate question. From him and from me and from everyone of faith and non-faith, media, whoever it may be, we have no choice but to send a message that we here in this community can get along. What happens over there, we have very little influence. What we can do over here is demonstrate peace, to speak words of peace, to help another person, show a kindness to another person. He may think differently, he may be even on the other side. It's not, we all live over here, and we share a destiny, we share a commonality. We have to raise ourselves to the occasion and say enough is enough. We can get along, and we must. And hopefully that will somehow spiritually and many other ways, help the people in the Middle East as well.
We're coming to an end. I want to ask each of you, what does peace look like to you?
Peace in the Middle East?
Peace, period. I want to focus on living here in South Florida,
okay,
right? Because I don't think we can control
right,
what's
right.
happening, but we can control ourselves. And here, what does peace look like to you?
What peace looks like to me, ultimately, is not only that I can give him a handshake and tell him I love him, but also to truly feel for another person and to have a common goal. A common goal is to bring the world under the 7 Noahide laws, the 7 laws that God gave. If we all, that's what peace looks like to me. When we respect God's law, there will be peace in the world. People won't hate each other, people won't kill each other, people won't look down at each other. We're all human beings created by God, in the image of God, and we all have a contribution to make in this world. And on the contrary, we're not all the same. When we all can come together and contribute the differences that we bring to the table and make it one great tapestry of a colorful painting, so to say, that's beautiful and that's peaceful.
What does peace look like to you?
Well, if you're talking about peace here, we thank God we are living in peace. And I echo what he said about like a practicing peace. And that what we're really trying to do here is to connect with other people. Peace to me is respect, appreciation, acknowledge his contribution, other people's contribution, and everyone's contribution. And I hope this will prevail also in the Middle East, where I think peace needs justice. And when justice is there, I think we can get the peace.
Now I want to offer you to ask each other, if you could ask each other a question. I'll start with you.
Rabbi, I really appreciate this meeting and happy to meet you again. If you please can tell me what you expect from me to do to assure you that we want to live together in peace and in harmony and respect.
So, thank you for that question, and I'll answer you. I think that we, community, religious leaders, community leaders in general, we have a pulpit, we have a mic, we have influence on people. I don't know how many people come to listen to you every week, on Friday, I assume?
Yes.
But speak to them.
Yeah.
Tell them the message. Tell them that God, humanity, depends on them. They have to know that they are part of the larger, and God can't have this world without each and every single one of them. And they have to send a message of peace to their families first, to themselves first, to their families next, to their sphere of influence, and then it'll ripple. The ripple effect will go further and further and further till it reaches more and more people. So we have to use our influence to teach people right from wrong. People don't know. She said it before. There's a lot of confusion. She said it to me yesterday. She said it again today. And we have to really recognize that we are one and the same, and God is relying on each and every single one of us. Rabbi, imam, parishioner, it doesn't make a difference if you're a plumber, electrician, cameraman, and interviewer. We have something to bring to the world, but it all has to be in the spirit of peace and love, to care about each other, and respect mainly. To respect every person, which means, and I get back to those basic laws of humanity that God gave us all. If we lived by those 7 laws, we would have peace in this world, in the middle. We would have peace everywhere. And we have to do a better job. Myself and everyone around.
Your question.
What did you tell the people in the last week?
Oh, that's a good question. Exactly what you suggested me. I mean, when I asked you and what you suggested me to do, I was doing that exactly. But now, based on your request, I'm going to do more and elaborate more about, especially I emphasize that we are human. We are in this country, we are citizens. We thank God that we have the freedom to speak. And I tell people, God told us to be kind to each other, but extra kind to those who are different from us. Treat them with respect, treat them with dignity, and appreciate their contribution, and acknowledge their role, and work with them toward good. Because I always remind them of one verse from the Quran, which is say وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى, which is work together, cooperate for piety, for righteousness, and for good, and never cooperate for evil or transgress or to pose any threat against each other. Just always work together for peace, for love, for respect, and that's what I preach, and I'll continue preaching and tell my community. And I'm going to tell him about this beautiful rabbi I met, and he's nice and good words.
Last question. Oh,
remember, I just want to say one last thing and just say what I said before. Don't demonstrate for peace, demonstrate peace.
Yeah, that's what
Last question. Anything I didn't ask that you would want mentioned that you think is important for our viewers to understand? I'll start with you.
Again, I want to quote this verse from the Quran, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, that Allah said we created the children of Adam with honor and dignity. And we need always to keep that in mind before anything else, before any faith, before any affiliation, before any ethnic, before anything else, that we are all the children of Adam, and God created us equal. We need to respect one another. We need not to look down to anyone, regardless, and only we need to compete with righteous deed, with good deed. We need to compete to be extra kind to other people. We need to compete how we can help other people, especially those who are less fortunate, and invite people to participate in a project that involve all the communities, different faith, to serve our community, so that we can create love and respect.
Sir, anything I didn't ask you think is important for people in the community, for our viewers to understand?
Well, we're talking about the topic at hand. Watch less television, less social media. You're not getting the real story there. You're getting a whole lot of misinformation.
But they can watch Channel 4 News.
Yes, Channel 4 is an exception. But no, I mean that. I'm being facetious, but not that facetious, by the way. Just focus on your values, on what you know to be true, what you know to be real, what you know to be decent and good. I think you covered it all in terms of the message that you wanted to get from us too, and I hope the message came across. If you want peace in the Middle East, we have to first foster peace over here. That's by helping another person, doing something kind to someone else, bringing a little more light to another person's life, a little more ease to another person's life, and believe in God. We don't understand everything, but we know what's right and we know what's wrong, and just stick to that. You'll survive it. You'll get through it.
I thank you, gentlemen.